All right, let's dive right into a story that sits at this really creepy intersection of technology and, well, the supernatural. This is all about a live broadcast that didn't just go wrong. It blew a door wide open that probably should have stayed locked forever.
So, let's start with a big question here. I mean, think about it. We use tech to connect with people all over the planet, right? Every single second. But what if that same tech could reach out even further? What if it could connect with something else? Something that isn't exactly living anymore?
So the guy at the heart of this story is this brilliant, maybe a little too obsessed, paranormal researcher. He was totally convinced that spirits communicate on this one specific wavelength that we just can't hear. So his goal wasn't just to talk to ghosts, he was literally trying to find their private radio station.
And to do this, he actually invented something called the paranormal radio device. The theory behind it was pretty wild but simple. He believed he could filter out all the noise of the universe and just lock on to one single frequency, the so-called ghost frequency. It was basically a microphone for the afterlife. And you know, he didn't just wing it. He had a perfectly scientific plan all laid out. The steps were clear. Tune the device, listen for anything, record everything, and then analyze the data. Super straightforward, right? A totally repeatable experiment. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Well, for the very first field test, our researcher picks a spot just dripping with tragedy and dark history, an old abandoned asylum. And then, in a move that sealed everyone's fate, he decides to do the whole thing live, broadcasting his experiment to thousands of people watching from the comfort and safety of their own homes.
At first, the live stream started just like you'd expect. The researcher set the scene, he flipped on the device, all you could hear was static. But then, something faint came through, little whispers. Exactly the kind of stuff he was hoping to catch. But then, the signal didn't just get clearer. It erupted. It went into absolute overdrive. This is the exact moment the experiment completely shattered. The signal wasn't just sound anymore. It wasn't just audio coming through the speakers. It had changed into something else entirely. Something raw and, well, experiential.
And this really shows you the insane difference between what he was expecting and what actually happened. See, he was hoping for maybe some fuzzy sound waves, a few spooky words he could record. What he got was a fire hose of pure consciousness. Not just sounds, but memories, feelings, raw pain, all being mainlined directly into his brain as pure data.
The way it's described is just chilling. He was being flooded with the final, screaming moments of every single patient who had ever died in that asylum. Can you even imagine that? Not just hearing it, but experiencing hundreds of agonizing deaths all at once?
And this is where the story goes from scary to just unbelievably horrifying. Because that signal, it wasn't a one-way street. The connection he opened up went both ways. The spirits didn't just talk to him, they found a way through him.
So, for the audience watching the live stream, the first sign something is terribly wrong is that he just stops talking. The guy who was so excited just a moment before is now stock still, completely overloaded by whatever is pouring into him.
And then, as everyone is watching, horrified, his eyes just roll back in his head, pure white. He's gone. He's not there anymore. He's just a shell, a conduit for the signal he unleashed.
He starts speaking again, but it's not his voice. And the things coming out of his mouth are just impossible. He starts describing, in this flat, monotone voice, little things happening inside the homes of the people watching. He says the names of their pets. He recites their home addresses. He whispers the names of their children.
So, the question is, how? How could he possibly know any of this? The answer is the knockout punch of this whole story. The spirits he contacted didn't just possess him. They used his broadcast as a bridge.
The spirits didn't just come through the device. As the source material says, they followed the signal back through every screen that was watching, and now they're already inside. The live stream wasn't a window to look through, it was a door, and every single person watching had just swung it wide open in their own homes.
And all of this leaves us with one final, really unsettling question, doesn't it? In our world, where we're all connected all the time, we're constantly sending signals out into the void without a second thought. We open these lines of communication every day. But if a signal can travel one way, what's really stopping it from coming back?